All right, I think we're on. Welcome, everybody. This is episode 2, or instalment 2 of this little Zoomcast. I'm Matt Grima, and welcome aboard. And today's special guest, none other than, well, he's not Hollywood royalty, but he's got the name of one, and that's Bradley Cooper from Marshall White. G'day, Brad.
Good morning, Matty. How are you?
Yeah, really well, really well. Thanks for taking the time to jump on.
Oh, pleasure, Matt. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for the opportunity. Episode 2. Can't wait.
Well, you've got some big shoes to fill. Brendan Allen, a very popular guy certainly amongst Marshall White circles and in Victorian real estate in general. But mate, you and I haven't known each other for all that long. It's probably been would it be more than 6 months and not quite 12? Would that be about right?
Yeah, that's right. I returned to Marshall White. Would have been late last year. So it's barely not even 12 months yet. So great to be back at Marshall White, and great to be part of the team again.
Well done. Well done. You're a man that's had a couple of decades, I reckon, in the industry, and to say that you've come full circle, given your previous involvement with Marshall White, and also some of the other things that you've done in the real estate industry, be it a franchise owner yourself, and working with business owners for the Barry Plant Group. And I thought today might be a nice opportunity to let people know a little bit about the Brad Cooper story or journey from humble beginnings out of Brighton Grammar to where you are today and what you're doing today.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, no, it's good to share the story, and I think I've been really fortunate to have had 25, 26 years. It's gone very quickly in real estate. I finished at Brighton Grammar actually in the late 80s, so 1989, and I always wanted to get into real estate. I think from a young age, Mum and Dad were always out looking at houses, and it just gave me that, interest in property and real estate. So after finishing VCE, I think, as we all know, you finish school and everyone wants to go to uni. So I did quite well in economics at school, and went off and did an economics degree. But when I finished that in the early 90s, the market was quite depressed. So I decided to, plan B was real estate. So I went out
Where did you go to uni, Brett?
I went to Swinburne.
Yeah,
so
right.
I did economics at Swinburne, but always had that sort of passion for real estate. I think I wanted to get into stockbroking. But given the economic climate at the time, it didn't really allow me to do that. So I knocked on a lot of doors, couldn't find an opportunity there. So I thought, why not try real estate? Something I've always had a passion for. So, why not give that a go? So I went out and did what was called the sub-agent's license, which is like the agent's rep.
Yep.
I remember going to Moorabbin TAFE doing that at night. That was fantastic. Did that. And my lecturer there was a guy called Frank Hellier, who is a bit of a doyen of the industry. He had his own business, Malcolm's Real Estate, for many years. So I did that, then quickly got into, back then, what you had to get into, probably to get into real estate, was property management. So came to Marshall White and had 4 really good years at Marshall White back in its humblest days, back in the what was that? Probably, the mid-90s. And we're on the corner of Mercer Road and High Street then. There's probably only a dozen people working at the company, but did 4 really good years of property management.
Who was there, Brad?
So
there today?
Jack and James, Andrew Hayne, Justin Long. I remember Sean Cussing started whilst I was there. Larissa, who's in the projects division. Yep. Larissa and I pretty much ran the rental department back then. Ray Tomlinson, so Rob Vickers-Willis. I've probably missed a few. Dean Gilbert, Joanna Nan. I remember when Hamish Tosterman started. And so look, it just had a great feeling back then. I wanted to get into sales. There wasn't an opportunity at Marshall White at the time to get into sales. So I decided to head off elsewhere, which I did. And had 15 or 16 really good years with another brand, Jealous Craig, in Hawthorn. Had a really good opportunity back in 2004 to open up my own office in Richmond, which I did. We merged with a company called Byrne McMillan, who was probably the market leaders back in the day in Richmond, a very strong agency. but we wanted to open up an office. So that was a really good opportunity. So, you know, really fortunate again to have that opportunity to open up my own office, build a rent roll, which you know, and run a team. So that was a fantastic opportunity. So I feel after, you know, finishing up at that office, I decided to go back to Birrendara, where I was for you know, another 10 years as a sales agent, auctioneer, you know, for Jellis Craig. So you know, had some great years there. And then I guess in 2016, it would have been in August 2016, we've got 3 children. Our youngest, William, was probably about 2 or 3 months from being born. I felt like it might have been a good opportunity to step out of the sales environment. And I got approached by Barry Plant to go into more of a training franchise management role with that group of 78, 80 offices across Victoria. So for me, that was a good opportunity to have a little bit more family time. It gave me the opportunity to work Monday to Friday. I wasn't working weekends, and obviously provide more assistance to my wife and young kids at home. So, but I think I learned a lot of Barry Plant. Gave me some really good experience in I guess, delving a bit deeper into the franchise operation group of that organisation, and really getting closer to agents and mentoring agents, running an auction school program within the group there, and just really assisting the franchisees from a day-to-day operational point of view.
Well done. Well done. There's a fair bit to unpack in that. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you've done some property management, you've done some sales, you've been a business owner yourself with a franchise that you've opened up, and you've gone back into sales, and then you decided to get more on a sort of a mentorship type level, if you like, with franchises at Barry Plant. Is there one aspect of real estate that you've enjoyed the most, or that you feel you excelled at the most, or has it been a combination of all of them?
I think, yeah, good question, Matt. I think, you know, the beauty, as you would agree, the beauty of real estate is that we are dealing with people. You know, whether it's our, you know, our colleagues at work, it's buyers, it's vendors, you know, that is the beauty of the industry. No 2 days are the same. So for me, I think getting into that training and mentoring side of the business was a rewarding, I guess, facet for me. And it just gave me, you know, and having opened up my own franchise office as well many years ago, just gave me a really good understanding of what franchisees, you know, what their challenges are, what types of things they're going to face every day in real estate. So for me, it was a really good opportunity to be able to assist them, not only on a mentoring side, but also, you know, really helping people, and also running careers nights. You know, Barry Plant was an organisation, or still is an organisation of, you know, 70 or so offices, and around 11,000 sales per year. So recruitment was really, really important. So we used to run careers nights there as well. So for me, to bring people into the industry from day one, and then really nurture them, and I guess watch them grow from starting in the industry to becoming a top sales agent and auctioneer was quite rewarding for me. Because I know, you know, the challenges of getting into not only a new industry, but, you know, pretty much starting from scratch can be quite challenging. Back in the day, I know when I started, you'd probably get a telephone and a desk and away you go. But to be able to have that little bit of nurturing and training is really important. And I think that's something that we're really, you know, blessed with at Marshall White. We have a depth of resources, people, experience, knowledge, leadership, that really help everyone. You know, very fortunate.
Fantastic. The line just broke up there, but we'll continue on and see how we go. And your current role at the moment, what are you doing? Many people will know, some won't know. What exactly do you do day to day at Marshall White at the moment now? You lead the T1 division, and you do a good job of that.
I do. Thanks, Matt. Well, you know, very kind. But I think, once again, I'm fortunate to have not only a great team to work with, yourself included, you know, very well experienced and agents that pretty much are happy to run with properties themselves, and exceptional agents in their own right. Not only estate agents, but also, I think I made a comment a couple of weeks ago at one of our meetings, and just said that the depth of knowledge that we've got, not only at Marshall White, but in Team One, for some of the team like yourself and Tom Hayne, Jack Nichol, Joseph, Kane, Danny, Bradley, Taz. We've got such good young people within the team that you'd probably go a long way to find some better auctioneers with the experience that we have. I think a lot of the team get really well trained by the other agents within the Marshall White group. So for me, not only do I look after Team One, but I've also got a role to become, or to be a salesperson in my own right, and auction properties as well. So I guess I share my role in but also self, and it's nerd for 20 or so years. The best of both, the ability to list and sell property, but also the ability to manage a team, and also train, nurture, and mentor younger agents, because all you guys are a lot younger than me. You've certainly got youth on your side compared to me. So for me, it's great to be able to learn from you guys as well, and look at some of the ways in which you like to negotiate, and also to market and sell property. So I'm very fortunate.
Good on you, mate. You've seen a lot of agents over your journey, and you've seen you've come into offices where you've got established agents that have been set up for a long time. You've probably no doubt interviewed people that want to become a real estate agent for the first time, or younger people getting into the industry. Are there any characteristics or traits that you feel are common amongst top performers? And do you have any advice for people that are maybe getting into the industry, or have only been in it for a short period of time, that you said, look, if you ticked off these 4 or 5 or 6 things, you're going to be well on your way to having some genuine success in an industry that is bloody tough. Like it's difficult to be a high performing estate agent day in, day out, year in, year out.
Yeah, good question, and it certainly is. It's a very competitive industry, but I think by the same token, it's certainly very rewarding as well. So I think the main characteristics that you do see, I guess, like good footballers, I think that determination is really important. I think agents have got to be self-made. You've got to be prepared to put the hard yards in. It's not just going to happen. So I think putting the time in, you've got to be disciplined. You've got to be motivated. You've got to be a good listener. I think you've also got to be prepared to realise that real estate's not a sprint. It really is a marathon. So, and I often say to younger agents starting off, think of yourself as a farmer. You're planting seeds now that are eventually going to grow and then reap the rewards down the track. It may not be 6 months, may not be 12 months, it might be 2 years, it might be 5 years, it might be 10 years or longer. You've really got to be prepared to be diligent. You've got to nurture your clients. You've got to build a database, and you've got to be prepared to put the time and effort in now. And trust me, it will actually reap the rewards down the track. So I think hard work, discipline. You've got to be prepared to realise that no 2 days are the same in real estate. You're going to have your good days, as we all know. You're going to have your bad days, like in any industry. But I think you've just got to realise that if you put the time and effort in, and the ability to listen, and probably not try to reinvent the wheel, take some things from other people. What do they say in real estate? Rip off and duplicate.
Yeah.
We've got some great people around us. Arguably, when you look at some of the names at Marshall White, we arguably have, some of the best estate agents in Australia. You look at James Tostovan, Marcus Kiminello, Madeline Kennedy, Andrew Hayne, Matt Grima, Matt Pelios, Ben Veith, Kate Strickland. That we could go on forever. We are very fortunate Stuart Evans, Dwayne Wallowing. So I think if we can, I say to people, just sit down, be prepared to listen, be a sponge, take in as much as you possibly can, and learn from the best in the industry, and you really can't go wrong.
You touched on, so there's a couple of parts. I reckon an underrated part of the industry, and something that might not be as explored as it could be or should be, is emotional management. Okay, so there's plenty of scripts and dialogues that are out there for people that want to learn the basics of how to list a property, how to sell a property, how to negotiate, how to call an auction, whatever the case may be. I personally think one of the most underrated parts of our industry is emotional management. To be able to accept the highs for what they are when you have a great result, or when you make a deal come together and you feel really up and pumped for it, and then managing your frustration or your disappointment at either missing a listing or a deal not getting through for whatever the case may be. You just can't get a buyer and a seller to meet in the middle, or in fact you do have that happen, and then a property cools off in the current environment due to economic circumstances or people's personal circumstances with finance or whatever the case may be. So and one thing I think that you've brought to the team, and no doubt through your experience, and you've done it personally with me and with the other guys, is checking in from an emotional perspective, how we're going as human beings, how are we feeling after some success? Are we managing that success correctly? If we've had a win, are we making sure that we're just keeping our feet on the ground and silently pumping the fist? And then by the same token, are we bouncing back after some disappointment for whatever the case may be? Do you want to touch on how you unpack some of that emotional management with the team and some of the points that you find important? Sorry for the long question.
I think, no, that's fine. I think, really important that the emotional and the mental side of any industry, but, in particular, real estate is one of those industries that, we I think play a very, it's a fairly stressful environment. The cut and thrust of listing and selling, and not only are we, trying to manage our own expectations and financial commitments throughout a real estate career, but we're also, managing vendors and buyer expectations as well. So don't underestimate the amount of stress that an agent does feel on behalf of a vendor. Our aim is to become or to be as stress-free as we possibly can. And I think as agents, we are, we do pass that stress-free type of feeling on to our vendors. That's really important that we do, because no doubt the vendors are highly stressed during, what is a very emotional, stressful period of selling a home. So for an agent, it really is important to have a good balance in your life. I think we all need to realise that real estate, we're going to have the ups and downs, as we've seen. And I think 2020 has given us a really good indication of the highs and lows of real estate. Prior to COVID hitting in March, the market was, it was travelling pretty well, wasn't it? We were having very competitive auctions, and properties were selling extremely well. Then COVID hit. So we've had to deal with that. We've had, the first wave, and then we got through the first wave. The market was, then travelling quite well, and then the second wave hit. So we've had all the ups and downs throughout 2020. So really important to be able to manage those, that emotional roller coaster that we're all going through. Important to have some time out. I think it's really important to be able to recharge. Real estate is an all-consuming industry, so we need to be able to take some time out, and be present when we're at home with our families and partners. It's important to be able to switch off and turn the phone off, not respond to messages. You need to be present at home. Game day, when we get back into it the next day, that's when we really get back into it, and we're focused again on real estate. So I think being able to recognise that we're going to have the ups and downs is certainly important. It's really important to be able to manage those ups and downs if we are going to have a successful career in real estate, because I've seen it in my 25, 26 years in real estate. I've seen a lot of people come into it It's got a very high attrition rate. A lot of people come into it and find that it is a bit too stressful for them, and they move out of real estate. So I think the ability to I guess, regenerate, recharge, and almost reinvent yourself throughout a career is going to probably, assist you in having a long and, fruitful career in real estate.
Yeah, well said. Well said. You're an accomplished auctioneer. You've called, you've almost called 1,000 auctions, I reckon, over 25 or 26 years. If you're calling one or two a week for 40 odd weeks of the year, so you've clearly had a lot of experience in the auction realm. And I appreciate at the moment that a lot of auctions have moved from a public open air type auction to an online auction, and using platforms like Zoom to be able to still transact real estate in an auction format. How have auctions changed in your time over the journey in terms of the style of them and how people react to them? And do you still think that they're the best method to use for a piece of real estate, say, in your part of town?
Yeah, good question. I think, we're fortunate in Melbourne, which is arguably the auction capital of the world. So yeah. I think for an auctioneer and someone who has auctioned for 20 odd years, I love the forum of auctioning. I think it's the best way to sell a property, especially in the suburbs that we work in. And we're very fortunate that we work in the, arguably, the blue chip areas of Melbourne. So I think auctioning is the best way to create, I guess, a forum by which buyers can come and have a look at a property and then compete for the ownership of that property at the front of the property, or whether it's online or in a boardroom, for example. They can all compete. They can see who's actually competing for the property. So it's a very transparent form of selling a property, and we can ultimately determine the value of that property on a certain day. It brings a timeline by which buyers have to perform by the 28th of November 2020 at 11 o'clock. So it really does bring it to a head. It enables that very, very pure form of competition, and ultimately
transparent, isn't it?
It's transparent, and it gives us agents a really good opportunity to to market a property and then I guess show our wares. And I think there's a big difference between a good auctioneer and a not so good auctioneer. I think in my time I've seen a lot of changes in the auction system, but I think essentially what we want to do is we want to create that competition. We've got a really good product that we're marketing, and we want to bring it to a head and sell it on the day. Ultimately, if we don't sell it on the day, I think what the good estate agents and auctioneers do, the aim is to get the vendors the best prices, Matt. So whether it happens on the day or the next day or a week or 10 days after, our aim is to get our vendors the best possible price we can. So the auction certainly brings or gives us that forum by which we can certainly create the competition.
Definitely. Well done. Well said. Last question from me from a real estate perspective, given your experience in the industry and obviously the time that we're currently sitting in with COVID and stage 4 lockdown and people not physically inspecting property at the moment, what are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are you reading? What are you forecasting the market to look like, say, post stage 4, maybe towards the back end of 2020 and then potentially leading into 2021 when hopefully we've got some normality back in our lives?
Yeah, Matt, I think there's obviously quite a few different schools of thought over this one, but from what we've seen, 2020 has been, a very unprecedented year. So, currently what we're experiencing, we're in lockdown in Melbourne, I think for another 4 weeks. From a personal point of view, what I'm seeing is that I'm getting quite a few clients that are looking to bring their homes or properties onto the market later in the year. So what we're probably going to see is a bit of a flurry, a bit of pent-up demand, given that we can't show buyers through properties physically at the moment. Obviously, they can view properties online, but physically they can't actually get through properties. So what we're going to see when we do return out of the lockdown after September 14, there's certainly going to be some good buyer activity. we're going to start to see more properties hit the market as we move towards, the latter part of the year. We had a very good June, a really good July compared to previous years. So we're going to see probably more of a condensed spring market where we're probably going to get 6 months of selling into 3 months later in the year. I think we're also going to see the fact that people in Melbourne aren't really going to be travelling. No one can travel outside of Victoria. No one's going to be going overseas. So people are probably going to be putting energy and attention into their property and potentially looking for property. So I think it's going to be an exciting part of the year, the latter part of the year. I know there's certainly going to be plenty of activity. Talking to a lot of my colleagues at Marshall White, they're also feeling that there's going to be quite a bit of intensity in the marketplace. I've got a couple of properties that are ready to be loaded onto the internet in the latter part of the lockdown, and also getting quite a few buyers that are already starting to lock in appointments. So what I say to people, really good opportunity now if you're thinking of selling, really good time to start to prepare the property, get it ready, getting tradespeople booked in, furniture stylists booked in for when the lockdown finishes so that we can get the property up and running.
I don't know about you, but 14. I don't think there's ever been a more heavy focus on your house or where you're living at the moment. I think people are very aware of, maybe needing that extra room or the home office has become part of life now, and, getting the laptop out of the lounge room or looking for more space or understanding what you need on a daily basis based on your surrounds. I think people are starting to really think about home and where they're living and what they ideally need or want from a property. And I think that might spark some further movement in the real estate industry.
I think you're right. I know from a personal point of view, just having a look at the house, we're in a double-fronted Victorian in Malvern East, and one thing about Victorian homes, they always need work. So you look around the house and think, gee, that room needs a bit of painting, or gee, I could do a little bit more to the garden. So because we are all housebound, we're all actually looking at our homes and seeing what needs to be done. So I think Melbourne has a very high degree of pride in home ownership, certainly around the areas that we live in. So I think you're right. Any wonder, Bunnings have, shares in Bunnings have probably gone through the roof because everyone has been getting out there and buying the tin of paint and, returfing the lawn. And yeah, you're right. More people are working from home, Matt. So, and this probably is not just going to be something that happens post-lockdown. I think, in future, there'll be more and more people working from home. I think employers will be starting to think, well, we've trialled it during 2020. More people will start to work from home, and so hence let's set up the home office. Let's go and improve where we live. Why not? Great opportunity to do that, and it might even tempt some people to think, well, maybe we do need the bigger home. We can't all live here in this home. We need the extra bedroom. We need the extra bathroom. Or we want to be closer to certain amenities. So I think that's going to be something that will spark a lot of attention post lockdown, and we might see some more people deciding to look to sell their homes.
Well said, mate. We'll finish off, and thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it. I know you've got a fair bit on. Sir Douglas Nichols round is upon us in the footy, and you and I are both footy mad, and it's just opportunity to get you on. As the Mighty Bombers play the Tigers up in Darwin, I reckon it is, at TIO Stadium.
TIO Stadium, yep.
Yes. Now, mate, you clearly got the wood on most teams at the moment. The Bombers got little Mosquito get a debut, Irving Mosquito, which is a good news story or a good feel story coming out of the Essendon Footy Club. What are you thinking, mate? No doubt you're going to start heavy favourites, and you're probably going to do a number on us, to be honest. But
look.
Time clash.
Yeah, the Tigers have certainly got the wood on the Dons in the last 5 or so years. But you always got to be a little bit wary when a team has come off. We went into the Gold Coast game, 5 days ago as red hot favourites, and really only scraped through that one. You can see the frustration in some of the Tiger players. Tommy Lynch has been all over the news this week, which I think has been a little bit unfair on Tom. I think he's probably getting scragged and punched and hit by all these backmen over the last 6 to 8 weeks. So he's probably giving a little bit back. So look, I think it'll be a really good game up there. The conditions are predicted to be, I think it's 33, very humid. They say the ball gets very slippery up there. So don't underestimate the Bombers, mate. With Mosquito and Waller, it's just bound to be a great clash. And I'm tipping the Tigers to fall in. After the siren, I think Sydney Stack will kick one literally on the siren, mate. So it should be an absolute cracker. Looking forward to it. He
was good last year in the pre-game stuff, Sydney Stack, wasn't he?
He was. He was. He's a character.
Look, always enjoyable to see a Dreamtime clash. Obviously in different circumstances this year, but nice to pay respect to the Indigenous community as part of footy and part of our country, obviously. And no doubt we'll be watching on and sending each other a few cheeky text messages between the match.
We certainly will, Matt. Yeah, I agree. Great opportunity to show and respect the Indigenous community. And I watched a highlight package last night of some of the best Indigenous players that have played AFL over the years. And seriously, there's been some absolute champions to pull on the boots. And it's just an absolute privilege to watch the likes of Nicky Winmar and Cyril Rioli and Buddy Franklin, and we could just go on and on. So looking forward to the game.
Well done. Brad, where can people find you if they want to jump on and follow you maybe on social media or even send you an email at Marshall White if they're thinking about buying and selling real estate in your part of the world?
Absolutely, Matt. Look, I'm not as big into social media as you are. I'm on Facebook, but they could certainly find me on the Marshall White website, and certainly happy to help.
If they Google Bradley Cooper, mate, you're not popping up. I'm guessing. I think
no,
I might have you covered.
Yeah, that's right. The other guy over there, the movie stars, got me covered on that one. But so they can Google Brad Cooper and Brad Cooper Real Estate. They should find me there. I think I might come up second to him. But he certainly got my measure. That guy.
Well done. I appreciate you jumping on. It's been a nice opportunity to have a chat. No doubt we'll catch up again soon. And thanks for providing some really good insight about your journey in real estate and your predictions for what's to come. Thanks again.
Thanks, Matt. Great to be on board, and enjoy the day. Thank you.
Good on you, mate. Thank you. Bye.
Pleasure.